Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir Alazouzi from easymedicaldevice.com, and today we'll talk about contract manufacturers. So the idea here of today is to help you to select the right contract manufacturers or find a way or checklist to make your selection correct, and also how to manage this contract manufacturer when you have it on your approved supplier list or when you are working with him directly. So for that, I have with me Keith Smith. So Keith, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Thanks for having me, Monier. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So, Keith, can you make a small introduction of yourself and tell us more about maybe how you can help us with this topic of contract manufacturer?
Sure. Keith Smith, President, CEO, and owner of Vonco Products. It's a contract manufacturer of single-use and disposable medical devices and biopharma products. And we also make some packaging and also assembly and kitting.
And what about yourself?
I've been in the industry in plastics and flexible films plastics for over 30 years, and I've been operating Vonco and owned Vonco for the last 11 years. And so we've been on a march to become a premier contract manufacturer, and have done a tremendous job through multiple acquisitions, expanding innovative projects and adding new capabilities along the way.
Great. So, as I said, the idea of today is to help people to understand more contract manufacturers and maybe how to find and select them. So, mainly, if you had like some of people on the audience to identify a contract manufacturer, so what would be the first place to go? So, is it like internet, or is there a specific maybe
Yeah.
network of people that know who are the key players on this? So how would you do to select, to try to find out a contract manufacturer?
It's a great question because we look at it from the other side is how can we be found? And so the biggest way that we're found is through many medical device manufacturing conferences. And so that we get a lot of interest there in those conferences. But the second biggest way for us is referrals and word of mouth. And so I would encourage anybody in your audience to ask their network of who they've seen perform well, right? It's one thing to go to a trade show, but it's another that they have had a good success with these folks. And then more digital areas are certainly a great place to find contract manufacturers, certainly websites, social media, blogs, the people that are staying very active and really pursuing and investing in this industry should be investing in those spaces as well to make sure that you're seeing relevant content that can help you along that decision path.
Exactly. And when you said that, yeah, you should ask your network or people that work with you, I think this is one of the best source, I suppose, mainly because as they had already maybe worked with those contract manufacturers, they know if they are good or bad. And if they are good, they will maybe say, yes, they are good. If they are bad, they will say, no, 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 don't go at all to them. So it's like really a good source of information, I think.
100%. And I'll tell you, that's the best partnerships that we find is from these referrals. One, they know they have that experience, but it's also we maintain a really what we're talking about is the net promoter score. How likely are you to refer us, right? So we maintain over a 9.0 NPS score because of that, because we know those referrals are so important in the selection. There's a lot of trust that med device companies have to place in these contract manufacturers. You're really looking for someone that's an extension of your brand and of your promise.
So in terms of contract manufacturers, so as soon as we reserve like a list of 3 or 4 of them, so what will be for you like the next step? What would you do then to identify the right one to work with? So is it just a phone call, or you have to visit them, or what is it, the process mainly?
Yeah, I certainly think it's an introductory call so that you understand what products and markets that the contract manufacturer is already serving. Right? That would be a big opportunity for you in your investigation to see, are they making products similar for companies similar to what I am trying to accomplish. So that introductory call is super important to make sure that we're aligned. Then you go through, the next step, which is usually exchanging non-disclosure agreements so that we can understand from our angle, or the contract manufacturer can understand, exactly what you're trying to achieve. And so I think there, in both situations, we don't want to get into an area that we're not going to be capable of. And if it is something that we have to build capabilities of, we all need to know that before we get too far down the line. So I think it's important that you move, once you're comfortable with the experience and the products that and capabilities that the contract manufacturer have, is quickly get into what are you trying to achieve so you don't waste too much time.
Yeah, and as you said, if we do like a first introductory call, we like it. So I suppose then going to make a physical visit is one of the best things. So here we talk more about, there are people that are talking about audits. For me, I talk more about due diligence. So is this a process that is common for maybe you, as customers are coming to you and then they come to visit you and they check that you are not like just a post box, but you are really a manufacturing plant with everything inside?
Unearth the pulse of the medtech world with MedTech Conf, a dynamic platform featuring global events on medical devices, biologicals, IVD, and pharmaceuticals. Stay informed, stay ahead, connect, share, and elevate your knowledge. Become an official sponsor. Make your event shine on the map. MedTech Conf, your key to the medtech universe. Remember, the future is now, and it's at your fingertips with MedTech Conf.
Yes. It can be, so the answer is yes. So, I would still encourage, probably do the project introduction first to make sure that we're both comfortable, then move on. Okay, why don't you show me? And a way that we help through that, and even if they're saying, because visiting can be difficult. We've got multiple sites. Many contract manufacturers have multiple sites. So as we get to know this project, as the customer is starting to divulge the details of it, it may have to be done in multiple sites, and we may not have a clear path yet of where the manufacturing could occur. So seeing some of this is important. But coming to the main headquarters certainly says, okay, these guys have an office, there's manufacturing stuff here. I think that's really important. But in order to launch a medical device, I think even more important to just seeing that the production process is getting to know the people, because in the launch of, certainly even in class 1 devices, but as you get into class 2 med devices in the States, these are longer drawn out projects that we are going to need to have a long-term relationship with, and the project teams work together for extended periods of time. And so I think just as important in that visit to see the capabilities, it's to see, can I work with this team for the next year to 3 years, depending on the launch schedule.
So is also I suppose, are they coming also and asking you maybe the qualification of the people that are working for you, or like what kind of diploma they have, or what kind of experience they have? So is this also something that companies are checking when they are coming to visit you?
Yeah, I think not really like the pedigree. In the introduction call, many people will say, hey, here's where I've engineered before, the products I've engineered before. So it's maybe a little bit less about the education experience versus your actual work. So it's a lot like a resume you kind of flow through in that introductory call. And depending again where we go, right, we're going to assign a project team, and after we get to that site visit, we're now identifying who's going to be on this project team. And so certainly the experience of that and education of that project team is important. I think again, the chemistry and the capability are really the two biggest things. And what you're doing during this process before you even select is really starting to, do they know by the questions that they're asking? Sometimes we may not have all the answers of what they're exactly doing, but by the questions that a contract manufacturer can ask you about, have you thought about this? Do you realize this could create this? These questions, as you interview a contract manufacturer, are so important, because they know you're looking for somebody that knows where the pitfalls are. Inevitably, as you launch a product, there is going to be some challenges. How has this contract manufacturer overcome those challenges, and what are the processes to do that? And I think the key for a great contract manufacturer is just being as transparent and authentic as possible, because we don't want people surprised on launch dates and cost. And so trying to get all that information, these questions that we'll ask early on, trying to get all the information so that you're not surprised on launch date and the cost to launch, and and basically ultimately the cost of the product at the end of the development.
Yeah, and one criteria that medical device manufacturers are looking a lot is, for example, and they are asking me the question a lot, is should my contract manufacturer be ISO certified for its quality management system? Do you have this certification, etc.? So, is this something that people are asking you a lot?
Yes, and it's a definitely a must for medical device to some level. I would say I do see when I walk a medical device conference or trade show, there's plenty of good medical device contract manufacturers out there that are ISO 9001. And you can give them a design and say, make this design. I think where it starts to differentiate, and where I think the value of a strong contract manufacturer, where you can outsource the design and development and the manufacturing, is a big differentiator in that contract manufacturing space. In that case, if we are assisting or owning that design, the design history, you're definitely going to want a contract manufacturer that has ISO 13485.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is something that I think. So it's not mandatory, if I can say, for you to have that, but it's a must or things. So does it add, if I can say, some more pressure also from those certification bodies that are coming and auditing you, checking that you are doing the right thing, that you are following the processes? So is this something that also is helping, or it's more like also some pressure for you?
Yeah, when you're talking about, and I think it depends on where the organization is. If we're talking about a top 100 med device company that's launching a new product, you're not even going to have a conversation if they expect you to do design history records and files and design along the way without ISO 13485. Some may move on with ISO 9001 just for manufacturing, but it seems like it's not a conversation starter if you don't have it. But there's certain segments of the market that will move on just fine with ISO 9001, and so I think that's important. We still see these large companies wanting to come in and do their own audits, even though you have the certification. So having the certification says, okay, we can talk to these folks and have the introduction call, but I still, need to check and verify myself. And so we'll see a lot of companies want to do their own audit prior, once we get into like the bulk of the design and we see launch coming.
Exactly, yeah. And I see this, as a common mistake, if I can say, when those companies are coming and you have already an ISO 13485 certificate, so you have already been audited by a certification body, and they are coming and doing again the same kind of audit with looking again at all the procedures, etc., which for me, I find it like a waste of time. For me, the focus that this audit should be is more on what am I asking to this contract manufacturer to do. Let's look at the validation of this machine that is needed for this product. Let me look at this process or this testing that you have to do, or this quality check that you have to do, instead of looking at a procedure of complaint management or procedure of a CAPA or NC or whatever, which, if I can say, you have already this kind of audit by another company. So this is maybe a message for people that are listening to say, guys, don't focus on this. It's already covered. Focus on what you need from this contract manufacturer. Focus on the supplier agreement that you have with them and what you ask them to follow and to fulfill. And the ISO is already managed by the certification body, which is an accredited organization to do that. So it's not like anybody that is coming to provide this kind of things. In terms of this selection of also of the verification of the contract manufacturer, do you see, I mean, from your side, or maybe if you heard from others, some kind of red flags, and you say, if you see that or if you discover that, yeah, get away from this company because it will be a lot of problems?
Certainly you want to, the big thing that I personally harp on is really how are they handling corrective actions. And so I love the CAPA system. One of my favorite terms is the verification of effectiveness. Really digging into an organization that is actually going back and making sure that these issues, which inevitably happen, but how do we resolve them, and do we make sure that we became a better company because we ran across those. And so I find many customers come to us because they've had, it's not really the first complaint that someone has. It's repetitive, over and over, complaining about the same process, getting corrective actions. They follow the system, but not verifying that they've solved the problem. And so that's, it takes a lot to change. And so you've got new projects that we work on, but we also have where I've got a lot of volume in the market and the supplier has got a quality issue or a service issue, and I need to switch this over for continuity and security of supply. And that's where I'll see a lot of issues. And the complaint that I get over and over, and this is where early on in the process you'd be vetting, is they're not transparent with me. They're not authentic with me of what's really going on behind the service issues, what's really going on behind the quality issues. Assuming it's up and running already, you've spent a lot of time and effort with this supplier, and customers tend to not know why all of a sudden we've seen a change in performance. And I would say that's the number one reason I see customers talk to us and why they might want to make a change after all that investment.
So if you find out this kind of issues, maybe after investing some time in the design and development, etc., for this, and now you arrive to this situation, you are in the midway, if I can say, to launch. So is it like, let's start back from zero, or let's discuss with them, or let's find somebody else? I mean, what is your advice?
What should they do if they start to see these issues midway in design? Let me make sure I understand the question. What should you do if you find these issues midway?
Exactly.
Got it. Yeah, so I mean, it's tough. Again,
yeah, I know.
You're in a tough spot because you've already invested something to develop this relationship, so that can be tough. I think the best companies and the best partners start to figure out, is that money sunk, right? It's hard to say, in med device, it's just too risky to launch with a partner you can't trust. And so I think at that point, you have to look at that investment as sunk and really make that decision. I do think all suppliers and all contract manufacturers need a right to cure, a chance to cure whatever the issues are. But again, it's the repetitive issues. I don't see, certainly in the med device world, where a single issue, drives somebody to move immediately. It's not that transactional. But if it's repetitive, you need to understand, especially in the design process, what do you think is going to happen come the manufacturing? Somehow that's going to miraculously change? Probably not. So it could be some challenges as you ramp up. So certainly that sunk cost mentality, although tough, needs to occur, routinely.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think I like this answer because it's not like black or white. You have, as I said, discuss, try to find a way to solve and try to move away. But at a certain point, if there is no way, so it's better. Yeah, as you said, the money is sunk, so no need to don't look at it anymore and start to find somebody else. Because as you said, if you have problems now, you will have a lot of problems even when it's on the field, complaints maybe from customers, etc. So it will be a nightmare. So yeah. now that, if I can say, we have selected this contract manufacturer, we start to work with them, they start to deliver some products. So what is the recommendation that you give maybe to some manufacturers? So should they inspect at 100% all what they are receiving? Or is there another way to make it like, let's have trust with what they are doing? Or what is your advice on this? Hey, just a second. Do you need a EU, Swiss or UK representative? Then choose Easy Medical Device. We can represent you and also become your importer. Contact us at eo@easymedicaldevice.com.
Yeah, certainly. We want to avoid, right? To get costs down, you don't want to have 100% inspection. So the process that is most commonly used is validations. And so can you validate that process and avoid designing a product that the process can't be validated? So early on in the design, start thinking about, do I have a contract manufacturer that I can validate this process? If not, right, I'm going to 100% inspection, especially on a class 2 device, and 100% inspection, if you have a decent volume, is going to be very costly. And so it really comes down to that design and the process working together to do the validation. So the installation qualification of the equipment, the operational qualification. Can you find ranges, a wide enough range that operates and gives you a good quality system? And then your performance or production qualification, IQ, OQ, PQ, we call it. And so then we can start to determine what the inspection amounts are, and hopefully you keep that well under that 100%, and you can keep your costs down. And so really starts all the way back in design for manufacturability. And that's why I think working with your contract manufacturer in that design process versus working with a pure design house is the way to go, because you are, instead of a design showing up and then the manufacturer has to redesign it, you're paying for design twice to make sure you manufacture it. A manufacturer that does carry that design allows you to cut out that step and make sure that we're designing with that manufacturer in mind, and make sure that that validation can occur and we avoid that 100% inspection.
Exactly. And does some manufacturer ask you to maybe do the inspection by yourself and provide to them like the inspection sheet to say, yes, I have checked that, and everything is fine? Is this also a way that maybe some manufacturers are working?
Yeah, a certificate of analysis or conformance, certainly many customers expect that, whether it's 100% inspection or it's some sort of sampling plan.
Okay. Now, if I can say, we are starting to work with those contract manufacturers. It's been maybe 1 year or a few years, and we have to do what we call maybe a regular audit, because sometimes you have some critical manufacturers, and within the medical device field, when we are a critical manufacturer, so the idea is to go to audit them and check what they are doing and verify that they are still compliant. So what should be, if I can say, the work, as we said before, the work during the audit? So what is your experience when those manufacturers are coming to audit you? So is there some kind of scheme or a theme that people are following, and some maybe mistake they are doing, or as we talked before about maybe checking the ISO thing instead of checking something else? So
yeah, I just give you what I believe is a good practice here, and I've seen other large med device companies perform. I think they're coming in primarily at this point, long into the, let's call it the first contract supply agreement, and checking where the complaints have been, right? Does it seem like there's been an adequate response to the complaints that we've had in the past? But I think the other thing, when they're really on their game, they're looking at really two things. One is this growth of the exact product that we're dealing with now. How is the contract manufacturer going to handle the growth of this next project from a quality system, but also meeting the supply commitments? And so assuming you're ramping up and you're looking future-wise, how are they going to react to that? And the second is, if we've been happy with this relationship, where else can we see this contract manufacturer provide value for us, because the more you start consuming a contract manufacturer's overhead, sometimes the better your cost can be. And so I think shrewd auditors are looking for those types of opportunities to bring back to their companies. Can we be secure in what we're providing today? Have they taken care of all the corrective actions and issues? What does the future look like? And where else can we partner with this contract manufacturer to provide synergies for both companies?
No, I think it's great advice here. Yeah, the fact is coming to check if they are performing as expected, and then checking what they can do more. So I had the idea when you were talking to say, okay, yeah, today I'm asking them just to manufacture the products and to put it in a bag and send that to me, or bulk and send that to me. Tomorrow I will ask them to manufacture the products and maybe clean it and put it in a like the final packaging with the instruction for use. And tomorrow I will maybe ask them to deliver that directly to my customers instead of delivering that to me, etc. So there can be a ramp, if I can say here, like some more work that a company like contract manufacturer can do, which, as you said, can reduce also the cost of the original manufacturer. I mean, the legal manufacturer here.
Yeah, on top of it, a lot of these products have very complicated supply chains that take a lot of people to manage those supply chains. And so there's opportunities there to simplify that supply chain and create more assurance of supply.
So in case now we are working with you and suddenly, if I can say, your manufacturing or the quality is becoming less, I mean, or is not good, for example, we have more and more complaints. Maybe there was an issue that you didn't discover and you find out by receiving those complaints. So what would be for you, or what would be the advice that you would give to a manufacturer on how to deal this kind of situation? So should they directly, as I say, complain and try to find somebody else, or is there like a good process or good step to follow to help you solve this situation?
Yeah, sure. I'll just give you some best practices. The first thing in any complaint is containment. Let's get our arms around, where did it start? Where did it stop? What's still in the contract manufacturer's location? What's in the field? Let's get our arms around that containment. Second is identifying, anything that we're about to produce. Can we at least inspect to make sure that product is not going to have that same issue? So again, do we need to stop production or can we continue to produce? And then it comes down to, a corrective action. And I think that's important to look at systemically. There's many times where it's easy to fix the singular problem that we're having, but how does the contract manufacturer actually become a better organization? And I know this might serve other markets, but what you want is that assurance that they have the discipline to really see the systemic issue and solve that systemic issue. And then, like I said, the final step, you really want to be working with a contract manufacturer that's passionate about verifying that was effective. They come back after a run or two and write a report that we've seen that these mistakes or defects have been cured by this corrective action.
Great. So really thank you for all that. And now, if I can say, so who should contact you? I mean, you are, as you said, yourself a contract manufacturer. So what kind of, which client should maybe mainly contact you for which kind of service you can help them also?
Yeah, our biggest focus, as I talk about where Vonco focuses, is single use and disposable products. So you can think of IV bags, dialysis bags, and there are a lot of fluid bags going into the body, but we also have collection bags and incontinence products and nursing milk products that we collect fluids on the way out. And so disposable fluid bags, specimen transport, we transport blood and samples to labs, and protection PPE that keeps the fluids off of things that it shouldn't be on. So really all around that fluid side. We have a full-fledged packaging business as well, a flexible packaging business. So making Tyvek sterilization pouches, foil barrier pouches. So we can make the disposable device, put it into the packaging. So we have some contract packaging kind of fulfillment operations to seal and validate those seals, and then move it on and manage the sterilization. So back to your point around how can we simplify the supply chain, we pride ourselves in being a turnkey contract manufacturer for those single-use devices.
Great. So I will place on the show notes all the details of how to maybe find out about Vonco and also about you. And for people that are listening, if you have any questions about maybe contract manufacturers, so I will also place the LinkedIn profile of Keith. So if you have any question to him. So Keith, really thank you for all the information that you have provided. It was really helpful. And I hope it will be helping also the community to understand more contract manufacturers and how to select them and how to deal with them also, as you had to deal with a lot of manufacturers also. So thank you, Keith, and I wish you a nice day.
Thank you, Mark.